Hi, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, super moms. That's wherever you're joining us from. Welcome to Insight for Moms with Adele. I am Adele. I will just continue from where we stopped last week. So, last week we started talking about marriage in the context of God's original plan, or shall I commonly called kingdom marriage, marriage as it should be amongst Christians, marriage as it should be amongst believers. And there were some key things that we talked about last week, which I would continue to build on. And I remembered that I laid emphasis on marriage, that if you are married, you should know that if you are entitled to take anything, you also have an obligation to give the same back. And also, I also emphasized on the fact that you are you, your husband is himself, both of you before God are one, and also your marriage is also an entity before God. So that means that you can present your marriage to God the same way you can present your husband. So, and I also explained that when we are praying, sometimes we might need to understand that when you're praying for your marriage, you need to see, you need to understand that you can present your marriage to God separately from you. You can present your marriage to God separately from your husband. So you can say, God, this is my marriage and these things do not seem right. Okay? So I really don't want to dwell on that. So if you need to understand more about that, listen to last week's. So another thing that we started talking about, I compared marriage to a company in the secular world. So we had said that a company is a legal entity. So that means that a company can be sued, a company can borrow money, a company can employ, a company can do what a person can do under the law. A corporate person, yeah. So it can carry out businesses, it can do this. I said a marriage also is an entity before God in the sense that a marriage also before God can do certain things. And then I had now zeroed it down to say that in marriage, a legal couple, so that means not just legal, a husband and a wife that has come together before God, they can and they should enjoy something called consortium of each other's consortium. And then that's where we stopped. So I had then gone ahead to explain that each other's consortium, even under the law, is recognized and is upheld by the law. Okay, so when people are married, there are some expectations like, companionship, taking up each other's names, privacy. Okay, we are married, and even that is why a wife or a husband cannot be compelled to testify against the husband or the wife in a court of law. So when you are under a marriage, a subsisting marriage, even if you are a witness to a crime committed by, you know, either your husband or your wife, I know there are some variations to it, but really, you cannot be forced to testify. You cannot be forced to testify. So, and that's a privilege of marriage, really. And then, if you don't testify, you cannot be accused of not testifying or committing perjury or something like that. No, 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 no. You are exempt because you're married. So I went ahead to explain that even in kingdom marriages, this thing subsists because in the first place, that's even the legal aspect of it came from this thing. And I also explained that examples of consortium is emotional consortium, which is a right to companionship. So I'm saying, by the power of the Holy Spirit, that a man and a woman who are married they have a right to each other's companionship. So that means I went further to explain friendship as against, sorry, as different from partnership, which is something that, couples should have. You're supposed to be each other's friends. You're supposed to be each other's partners. And I talked about emotional connection. You should be, tuned to each other. You should know when your partner, needs you without them coming to tell you, or you cannot ignore when you can see that something is not right. Okay. And then we talked about physical consortium, which is physical intimacy, love making, the marriage bed. We talked about that. Okay. And we said that it is it is not to be weaponized in marriage. You cannot say, I'm mad at my husband, I'm mad at my wife, so I'm not going to fulfill this aspect of marriage, or uh, you know I'm tired all the time. We talked about this, all of this last week. I'm just touching on it just to refresh, so you can go back to last week's message and listen. And then we talked about a right. Okay, yeah, I think that's where I stopped. So today we'll continue from a right to shared life. Now, you would think that that's the same thing as intimacy and companionship. Yes, it is similar, but it needs to be separated. So, you know how I have heard different versions. In fact, I grew up hearing a lot of marriage counselors, and I grew up hearing even some people still believe in certain things. So let's talk about what it means to have a shared life in marriage. Is it just about living in the same house together? Is it just about sharing the same bedroom? Because when you hear share, 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 is it just about having shared accounts, bank accounts? Is it just about? I mean, when you hear a right to shared life, what comes to your mind? So I have given the obvious examples. I don't know what else comes to your mind. So if you're watching and if you have any idea, you can drop it here. But but a right to shared life just simply means, remember that one of the vows that we give in marriage is uh, everything I own, my body, my wealth, everything that I have, I give to you. So in marriage, you are entitled to share, whatever you both own. Yes, 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 I said it. You are entitled. And this time around, I am using the word entitled because this comes with a marriage covenant, because you are no longer two but one before God. So when God is blessing you as a wife, he sees it that I have already blessed your husband. If he's blessing your husband, he sees it that he has already blessed you. And God is never like, God does not make mistakes. God is the wisest. You, in the book of Job, I remember, when God was asking Job some questions, can you tell me this? Oh, so you're wiser than me now. Sometimes I wonder if God looks at us and how much the world has evolved, and the things that come out of the mouth of believers who are married in the name of the world has evolved. Peradventure, if a single person is listening to this thinking, okay, I'm about to get married, let me listen to this message. What I would say to anyone who is not married and is planning to get married or considering marriage, by By the plans of God, some things are not up for negotiation. Trust me. Now, having said this, that's the original plan. Having said this, what we need to now understand is that the entitlement part of it now depends on the people in marriage. It depends on the people in marriage because I have said that you share. Share. Do you know the meaning of share? I give you some. How you share is now up to you. How you share is is an individual thing. But not sharing at all is wrong. Not sharing at all is not the plan of God. For this reason, shall a man leave his father and his mother and become one with his wife. Ephesians 5:31-32 also talks about the whole idea of marriage. And I'm going to end this by reading that. There is no marriage if you are not sharing life. If you are not sharing life, physical life, spiritual life, emotional life, financial life, there should be no secrets between you. I've seen this in so many variations. And I'm not even giving bad examples. I just want to talk about good examples because there are so many bad examples out there. So if we are talking about kingdom marriage today, good examples. I've seen couples that would come together and say, okay, this is how much my husband earns. This is how much I earn. What do we do with my husband's earnings? And what do I do with mine for this marriage? I've seen couples who say, okay, so what we bring in from our main source of income, we use collectively in the marriage. Then any other side gigs we have, we keep it for our own personal use. So if I have like an external need, say, okay, there's an additional support that my own external family require, rather than dipping into the pot for the family, or rather than pressing in on my husband again, which is already done his duty, I can just carry on and say, oh honey, this is happening, and don't worry, I've got it covered. I have something from my extra gig that I can use. That is transparency. A shared life in marriage requires transparency. Another aspect of shared life is one God. One God. One God. I know, I understand, I get it. I get it. Oh, I married a Muslim. Oh, we don't go to the same church. Oh, I get it. Maybe when it happened, you didn't understand. But did God emphasize this enough in the Old Testament? You can't be wiser than God. Everyone who did it got burnt. Trust me. They got burnt. If you don't have the same altar and you are married, you're playing. You shall have only one God, and that is God Almighty, the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. If you cannot acknowledge him as the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, then we're not talking about God. Any religion that says that God is not the father of Jesus or Jesus is not a savior, you have no business there. If you want to be a Christian, be a Christian. And raise up your children in the way of the Lord, because this is pleasing unto God. If you have a shared life, you have one God, and the idea of my husband can go to one church and I can go to another, it's not ideal. You all should be drawing from the same well. Yes, we should go to the same church, listen to the same sermon, so that when we are comparing notes or we are working on ourselves, we know that, okay, we heard the same sermon together. If it's impacting me and it's impacting you, we have equal opportunity to bring about the change that we desire. We pray together. We are able to tell our children that this is the God that we serve. And we show them, we teach them, we show them God and the ways of God. And when they grow up, they can continue in this line and then onto their own children. Living together under the same roof. If you are not living together, how can you be each other's companion? I understand that for some people, the kind of jobs that they do requires that one partner travels often. But you see, living together under the same roof, even under the law, has a lot of benefit. I remember um, when we moved to a new town, and then my husband would travel a lot for work, to the point that he had to like keep another accommodation where he was like, he had like a self-contained, or I think it was a shared apartment, but he was paying. So when they brought the council tax, my husband was like, I'm paying rent elsewhere, and the rent I'm paying is also being used to service council tax where I am. So we wrote to the council and said, look, I cannot pay council tax here and there. So the council said, where is your primary abode? He said, here. So, and they said, look, your wife lives there. That's your primary abode. Like, that's your primary home. And the other place is for work. Give us proof that you are living in that place. Okay? We provided the proof, and they said, the bulk of your family lives here, and you live there with them. So we are not the ones that you should be telling this, it is them. So under the law, where your family resides takes priority over a temporary accommodation, even if you live there 5 days a week and you come home for the weekend. For some husbands that even have to travel out of town and they go for months and they still come back home. A husband and wife must live under the same roof. They must call the same roof home. The minute they are no longer living together, the world calls it separation. The world calls it separation. God brought Eve into the garden for Adam. He didn't say, well, Eve is a female version of you, and she has all the rights. I mean, I've made her exactly like me as well, so I'm going to create another garden of Eden for her. No, God brought Eve into the garden, and that is where we got to understand that the intention of God in this situation is that man and woman should live together under the same roof. Now I take it one step further, the marriage bed. So now this is the one where I've heard so many opinions. A man and a woman I've heard must share the same bed. It is ideal. That is ideal because they are married. And on that bed, so many things happen. Decisions are made. Trust me when I say that. On the marriage bed, just before you drift off to sleep, you guys talk about so many things. You make decisions that are going to be validated the next day. Anything you see on that marriage bed can be referred to. Oh, 2 nights ago, last month, just before we went to sleep. Remember when we were talking on the bed? Those kind of discussions are very valid. But this is my question. Must a man and a woman really sleep through the night on the same bed? Yes. Ideally, yes. But there are some instances where it is not required, and that does not mean that you are not in love. You should sleep together on the same bed if there are no issues. If there are no issues, if all things are equal, I have heard so many reasons why couples don't sleep together. And trust me, some of them are valid, some of them make sense. I don't want to start, giving examples here so that I am not um, helping some people find excuse or validating some people's reason. But if all things are equal, if everything is okay, if there are no issues, a man and his wife should have the same bed. They should. They should. That is still under the consortium of a right to a shared life. Have the same God, go to same church. A right to shared life also mean that you have the same values for your home under which you will raise your children. You cannot, as a woman, say, "Mm, it is, when I was growing up, there are some things that were not issues in my house." And then your husband is saying, okay, these things are issues where I I am concerned. As far as I'm concerned, I see it as an issue. Remember that this is now your home. When you were growing up, you can use it as an example and say, oh, and my parents overlooked this and look, it didn't really tell on me. You can use it. You can refer to it, but you cannot insist. Because also remember that you are raising your children under a different condition than you were raised. And the times are different. And also, your mother raised you different. So maybe some things that she allowed is because she knows that she's done such a good job and she knows that it will not make you deviate from the path that she had set for you. And have you done the same where your kids are concerned? So make sure that under the shared um, rights to a shared life consortium, that you guys have shared values, things that you have agreed on, under which you will raise your children. Same God, same household, same church, ideally same bed, same values. Same values. In our family, we don't do these things. And you will uphold it even when your husband is not there. And your husband will uphold it even when you're not there. The right to a shared life is a privilege of marriage. You cannot demand this from someone whom you are not married to, even if you are living together, but you are not married. Anybody can do whatever they want with their life because they've not covenanted their lives to you. We are living together does not mean that you own me. I don't owe you anything. But if I am married to you, I owe you a lot and you owe me a lot. Okay? And finally, I want to talk about the consortium of practicality in marriage. This is very important. And I have 5 minutes to drive this point home. The right to care and support. These things, I could have put them under companionship, but they have to come separately because they are valid on their own. How can I be married to somebody who does not care for me nor give me the right support at every time? And vice versa. I've seen wives who would leave their husbands and go on holidays, even if it's not complaining, even if it is not convenient. It is not ideal. It is not. I have seen husbands who would leave their wives at home, heal, and go out to have fun with their friends. Eh, on the face of it, oh, my wife says it's okay, or I just needed a break. She's been sick for so long. Yes, a break here and there, but it can't be all the time. Support and care is not a one time thing, it is a constant thing. It is required in marriage at every time. You buy a product, you want to know that this thing that I've bought, there is a good support and care plan for it. So I can call up the customer service and say, oh, I bought this thing and it's not working. It puts your mind at rest. When you are in a marriage, support and care requires intentionality. And you see, this support and care is what the world calls romance. Yes. And that is why you will hear a lot of people say, I am not a romantic. Seriously? Romance is simply intentionality. When you wanted to marry the girl, when you wanted the man to notice you, you all did some things, some intentional steps. You tried to know her, you tried to know him, what they liked, what they didn't like. Some days you will dress like this, you will notice that his eyes were shining. Then you continue to do that. You see what I'm saying? All these things, they are intentionality. He buys you a gift today, he sees how happy you are, then he keeps buying. He notices that your car, there's something wrong with it, and he's like, oh, can I fix it? Or if he's very wealthy, he buys you a new one. And everybody goes, oh, yes, those are extreme examples. Oh, it takes care of your parents. Remember that when he's taking care of your parents, he's giving you support. Yes, because now you don't have to do it alone. And again, your parents are happy that, oh, this person loves you. It thinks of your needs even before you do, and vice versa. Support and care. But remember that support and care must be tailor fitted. If you are giving me care in an area where I don't need it, I am somebody that can walk. And every time my husband sees me walking, he will say, let me help you carry your leg step by step. I don't need that. That is not the kind of care that I need. So it is tailor fitted. You want, like, you give gifts. It's like worship. I tell people that a lot of people go to church and then they sing songs, they worship, from the flesh. What would people like to hear? What songs will people be able to sing and follow? Meanwhile, in your spirit, there are songs there that you are not paying attention to because the worship is unto God, not to man. So you are going to church to sing songs that the people, the congregation can follow, rather than a song that God is requiring from your, of you. When you're giving a gift to someone, you give something that you know that they will like. Before you married them, you made, you were particular about getting it right. In marriage, it has to remain so. And what is romantic before marriage is different. If my husband says, I'm giving you a week off mom duties, just you'll be in the house, don't do anything. If they need anything, I'll take it. Oh gosh. That's gonna mean so much more to me than £1,000. Trust me. A week in my own home. Because the reason why I would go on holiday outside is because so that I will know that okay, I don't have to, like, I'm not home, so I don't have to do anything. But in my own home, in my own comfort zone, I can be a week without such. That is more romantic than anything at the moment. So support and care is tailor fitted to different marriages. And everyone is a romantic because it is just intentionality. You put it at the back of your mind that as far as this world is concerned, no one is more important than my husband, than my wife. So you deal with them with intentionality. I have I have seen men, I have seen men that wash their wife's car, make sure that it is fueled. I don't even know what my car insurance costs. And sometimes when I'm mad at my husband and I'm talking, I remember things like this and I just keep quiet. Because car insurance is expensive. And it even depends on the kind of cars you even drive again. I don't know utility bills in my house. Like there are so many things. And yet I will still complain about some things and then I will keep quiet when I remember. Intentionality in marriage is romance. So maybe he was taking you out on dinners before you got married, and now you guys have 3 kids. You have to work harder, and you're complaining. Yes, you guys should go on dinner. You should go to dinner. Yes, go, 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 go. Once in a while, it cannot be frequent like before. You have things to do with money. Stop comparing your husbands and your wives to other people's. Your circumstances are different. The support and care that you require in your marriage is not the same that the next person requires in their marriage. It's not the same. And super moms, if you're one of those people that say, I am not a romantic, some women, it is food. When they are cooking for their husbands and they know that their husband is going to eat from this food, the amount of detail that they put into it, all the things he likes, ensuring that it tastes just right, because it gives them pleasure when their husband has gone for a long day of work and come back home to eat their food, and the husband looks at them and says, oh, how blessed am I. And you're saying that is not romantic. And then at the end of the week, the man says, oh, yeah, I heard a prominent man of God's wife say, my husband will just dip his hand in his pocket and give me money, even though I don't need it. And he's saying, take, I've not given you money in a while. Support and care. The person being cared for must know that they are being cared for. It is not you that will determine that you are caring for your husband. If your husband does not know that is being cared for, then you are lacking. Support and care. As a woman, some things fall on us naturally. And remember that I said that even though some things are the way they should be, how? When I was talking about sharing, I said, yes, we should share in marriage, but how we share is determined by the couple. Support and care. Some things fall on the woman in the home caring naturally. For yes, I know in the Western culture they say, but even they say, they still agree on it. Okay, you do the dishes because you are working from home, so that when I come back, I'm not bothered about things like that again. Can you put in the laundry? Can you spread it? I've washed it. Things like that. You are supporting and caring for each other so that one person is not overwhelmed. Unfortunately, this is not balanced because people don't talk about it, because it is just assumed that because one gender is expected to do something, they should do it, even if the workload increases over time when children come into the play. Ultimately, in order to enjoy each other's consortium in a marriage, the couple must come together to agree on some things and say this is how certain things should go. If you cannot do that, you cannot enjoy these consortiums. Honestly, you cannot. Even if you work and you earn your salary, it's your money. But you have to plan on how you will spend it. You cannot just leave it in your account and spend it as the need arises. You'll be broke and you still have a lot of bills unsettled. Yes, you are married now, supermoms. When you go back to listen to last week's and this week's, can you take a pen and paper from your own side and look at what is lacking in your marriage? I didn't say in you. That's why I explained that when people are talking about your marriage, you really do need to bring yourself out and see your marriage as an entity. I explained sometime, not here. I was telling some people that imagine your marriage is a building that should have windows, doors, it should have furnitures in it, fitted kitchen and bathroom equipments, and some things are not there. Then you begin to work on them. Okay, okay, these things are not there, that thing is not there. You need to understand that your marriage is an entity and it is what you and your husband do or do not do that makes it thrive. And remember that it is also a covering for both of you in the presence of God. It makes a lot of things that you do acceptable where it would otherwise not have been. Marriage is a covenant between two people that is acceptable before God. And all these things that I have listed are benefits of marriage. So some people are doing these things outside of marriage and they're saying, what is the big deal? The big deal is that whatever you're doing outside the marriage is not recognized by God. It's just the truth. It's not recognized by God. So those privileges that you think that you are enjoying, they are really not privileges. You've just taken some laws, into your own hands and you're doing what you feel like doing. So having said all these things, I want to read to us Ephesians chapter 31. It's 5:31. It says, "For this reason, a man will leave his father and his mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh." And this is the part that I just want us all to hear. It says, marriage, and I'm reading this from the TPT. I'll try and read it from different versions. So TPT says, marriage is the beautiful design of the Almighty, a great and sacred mystery. It is meant to be a vivid example of Christ and his church. It is meant, NIV says it's a profound mystery. Amplified says this mystery is very great. Marriage is a mystery. And for you to experience this mystery, you have to be in it. You can't be outside it and be commenting on other people's business. And don't get carried away by people that are not married, that are, talking about how it should be. It is different strokes for different folks. And if you feel that your marriage is lacking so many things that you cannot do it on your own, please get help. Please get help. If your marriage is on the verge of divorce, still get help, because there are so many things attached to divorce, before it, during it, and after it, that you also need help to navigate. People just get divorced just like that, bam. And then all those things hit them because they thought they knew how it would be, but they did not realize it would be like that. And then it leads to depression, it leads to bitterness. There are so many things. If any single person will listen to this message, what I will say to you, think very well before you get into marriage. By the design of God, it is meant to be for life. So think well. And there are so many things. There are so many privileges to it, but it's not a child's play. So I'll stop here. I hope that I've been able to deliver. If you have any questions at all regarding marriage, please reach out to us via chat, or you can come to our Telegram channel. You join us on there, Mom Chat. We'll drop the link also in the chat at some point today. We have talk shows where we talk about life generally, and we often do, topics around marriages. So anything at all that pertains to being a mother, we do it. So, but if you have questions and you like some answers, or you want some clarification on anything that I've said at all, please drop your messages and I'll make sure that I reply. If you would rather have a one-to-one chat with us, you'd like to speak to us over the phone, drop us a message on our Instagram DM, a direct message on Instagram. All of our social media handles and all that it should be on our channel, but we'll drop them in the comments for anyone who's listening and would like to know more. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for listening. I've shot over my time. I just thought, let me finish this topic so that we don't take it into next week as well. So thanks for bearing with me, and please, when you listen to this, do share with others, because I believe that there are some things in here that the Holy Spirit has actually uh, brought to light that would help a lot of marriages. Okay, so don't forget to like, don't forget to share, and if you are not subscribed to our channel, please do so, and encourage others as well to subscribe. God bless you. Have a wonderful weekend. Rest a lot. 2 hours today and 2 hours tomorrow, and then I'll see you again next week. Bye bye. Thank you.